This leads President Ramaphosa has portrayed an upbeat tone, also seeming very optimistic ahead of his crucial meeting with Donald Trump at the White House in the next 24 hours. President Ramaphosa arrived in Washington on Monday. He's been joined by 4 ministers who are also expected to be part of various meetings. As we speak, the president and the ministers are meeting at the embassy in Washington. Let's go live there now. Bring in SABC News correspondent Kate Fisher. Kate, good to see you again. So the president, as I was saying, striking a very optimistic tone as he entered the embassy today. What more did he say?
Yeah, he said that he was very positive and he told reporters not to worry, essentially saying, look, I've got this. So portraying a very strong and confident image. And he said that actually he's going to be concentrating on trade relations between the US and South Africa. That is where his focus is going to be, rather than on these allegations that have been made by Donald Trump without any proof of white genocide. So he said he's really knuckling down on those trade issues, things like the automotive industry, critical minerals, agriculture. And he says, we invest in the United States and they invest in us, and we want to strengthen those relations. We want to consolidate good relations between both our countries. So he's certainly giving that image of being positive. He will have been making plans with his team at the embassy this morning here in Washington, D.C. We understand he's just left the embassy, heading back to his hotel to get some rest, I imagine, given the time difference and the fact that tomorrow is a very big day.
And Kate, shall we read anything into the fact that the Americans have in large part not said anything publicly about this meeting, whether it is that they're looking forward to it or not?
Yeah, they've been fairly silent on this, and Donald Trump, of course, has been vocal about South Africa in the first months of his presidency. Yet, even in the days running up to this crucial meeting, he hasn't said anything. So you could see that of 2 ways. One, that he's busy with other things. We know, for example, he spoke to Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader, on the phone yesterday for more than 2 hours in his attempts to try to negotiate a peace deal in Ukraine. And then this morning, he was on Capitol Hill speaking to lawmakers from the Republican Party that he's trying to persuade to pass a big domestic spending bill. So he's had quite a lot on his plate and perhaps hasn't looked towards tomorrow's agenda just yet. Or we could think, well, he's not been saying these derogatory terms about South Africa over the past few days, and perhaps that is a positive thing going into this meeting, that he hasn't been criticising the country or the president in the days running up to it. But he certainly has a big challenge on his hand tomorrow, a really delicate political tightrope to walk.
Someone whose name is in the headlines tonight is Elon Musk. Earlier, the team at Bloomberg reporting that there might be a meeting possibly. These are reports we've not been able to independently confirm, but the Bloomberg outlet suggesting that there might be a meeting between the South African team and Elon Musk or his team to possibly find a way, a business deal that would include bringing Starlink to South Africa with a workaround in terms of the BBBEE or transformation laws, which he's so opposed to. Again, this has not been independently confirmed. We don't know yet if a meeting has already happened. But how important is Elon Musk as a piece of the puzzle? And do we know if he'll be in the room tomorrow?
I think he is really important, given the fact that he crosses 2 sides of this. He is very close to Donald Trump. Donald Trump really listens to what he's saying, and he's South African. So he, people may not agree with all his views, but he does have that heritage. And of course, I believe President Ramaphosa has long tried to establish some kind of business deal with Elon Musk. And of course, that would help trade between the 2 countries and to help these relations ease, because if the 2 countries are gaining monetarily from each other, it's much less likely that there's going to be this war of words. So we don't have confirmation as to whether Elon Musk will be inside the Oval Office for that meeting, although some analysts here do expect that to be the case. You're right, the Starlink internet service is one of Elon Musk's businesses that there is a possibility of doing a deal over. Also, there has been discussion as to whether there is something to be done with Tesla, his electric vehicle making business. Could, for example, South Africa drop tariffs on those cars being imported into South Africa in exchange for building charging stations, electrical charging stations in the country? Also, of course, SpaceX, Elon Musk's space company, South Africa has the ability to help to launch spacecraft into space. Is that somewhere that there can be some deals done between Musk and the South African government? So there are definitely things that are being looked at. And Cyril Ramaphosa has been asked, are you going to be giving up South African principles by offering all these deals? And he said, no, we preserve our sovereignty and we always do what is best for South Africans.
And how is reporting in the United States framing this issue? Are the cable networks, for example, taking a great deal of interest?
They are not so far. They are, as I say, kind of obsessed with domestic issues today because of this meeting between Donald Trump and his Republican lawmakers on Capitol Hill, also with the health of former President Joe Biden and the situation in Ukraine with Russia and also in Gaza. So there hasn't been much attention on the visit from Ramaphosa. That, I believe, will change tomorrow because his meeting in the Oval Office will be on the official schedule. All the networks obviously have live shot positions in the White House grounds. So the issue of South Africa and the relationship between the US and South Africa is covered by US networks because, of course, it's the strongest relationship that the US has on the African continent. It's the biggest economic relationship they have. And the deterioration of those relations has been reported ever since Donald Trump came to office. His unproven allegations of white genocide, the expulsion of the US ambassadors to South Africa, the end of foreign aid to South Africa, and of course, all the issues over the G20 and whether Donald Trump will actually travel to the country for that meeting. I believe that'll be something else that President Ramaphosa will be trying to get out of Donald Trump. I, in fact, spoke to President Ramaphosa last year at the G20 in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and I asked him, do you expect Donald Trump to finally visit Africa? Because, of course, he didn't visit Africa in his first term. And Mr. Ramaphosa was confident that Donald Trump would come, not least because they want to share a round of golf.
Kate Fisher, good to talk to you. Thank you very much for that. SABC News correspondent Kate Fisher in Washington, just near the White House.